project management. My guest is a member, or was a member, of the Rivers State Economic Advisory Council and also a member of the Technical Committee of the Niger Delta. My guest today was a PDP gubernatorial candidate, and my guest today has a master's degree in engineering and also a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering. My guest today is known to have facility in information technology and project management. My guest is a member, or was a member, of the Rivers State Economic Advisory Council and also a member of the Technical Committee of the Niger Delta. My guest today was a PDP gubernatorial candidate, and my guest today has a master's degree in engineering and also a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering. My guest today is known to have facilitated investment talks between private sector and businessmen in River State and the River State government. My guest today has been at the vanguard of promoting investment, development, peace and stability in the Niger Delta region and Nigeria at large. My guest today has been involved in numerous projects, particularly those that have shown up investment in River State. My guest today has been one who's been called the man of the people because he's one who sits and talks to ordinary people. My guest today believes in a one-point agenda for Rivers people in the 2015 election. My guest today is the governorship standard bearer of the Labour Party in River State. He is Tonye Princewill, and he will be talking to us on Viewpoint this morning, looking into the 2015 governorship election. How close are we to achieving a smooth election? And let me welcome my guest, Tonye Princewill. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. It's good to be here once again, Shaka. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And of course, you can be part of this program. The number to call us on 08113999937, 08147461263, and of course, you can send SMS 08039118840. And if you're on Twitter, hashtag Labour Guba, and if you're on Facebook, Viewpoint PH. I repeat all the mediums to participate again. Once again, you can join us on Twitter, hashtag Labour Guba, on Viewpoint, on Facebook, Viewpoint PH, by SMS 00391188840, and by text message, by call, you can call in direct to be part of the program, 08113999937 and 08147461263. Once again, my guest today is the Labour Party governorship standard bearer in River State, Tonye Princewill. It is a few days to the presidential election, precisely February 14th, but the question is, how prepared are we for this election? Now, there are skepticism in certain areas if the election will hold, and even others who are certain it will hold believes strongly that many Nigerians will be disenfranchised in this particular election. Here in River State, the Independent National Electoral Commission told us that they've received some amount of the PVCs, and they're expecting several people to come collect their PVC. And of course, the February 28th governorship election is also weeks away. But the truth is, how many people are prepared? Is INEC really prepared for this election? And the gubernatorial candidates, do we really know what they stand for? Do Rivers people know what their manifestos are? Do we really have a choice in this governorship election that is coming up in February 28th? Those are some of the issues we'll be looking at as we'll be talking to our guest, who is already seated in the studio, the governorship standard bearer of the Labour Party in River State, Tonye Princewill. Now remember, you can be part of the discussion. The number to call us on 08113999937, 08147461263, and for SMS 08039118840, and hashtag Labour Guba on Twitter and Viewpoint PH on Facebook. Once again, Tonye Princewill, thank you so much for joining us in this. Now, let's look at your campaigning. You've been on this campaign since December. How would you describe the period of campaigning, and what is it for? What has it been for you?
Well, I think this is fantastic. This is not ideal, but I like the way the campaigning is going now. It's more door-to-door campaigning, more face to face. You know, I've never really liked this idea of big rallies. You go to a local government, you go to the headquarters, you gather people, rented crowd, you shout and make noise, and then you enter your car and you drive off. But to me, that's not really politics. Politics is listening to people, let people criticize you, let people discuss, reasoning with people, and you cannot do that from a rally ground. You can only do that when you're doing door-to-door, face-to-face.
So you suggested that many of these political parties, the crowds they have at the rallies are rented crowds?
No, yeah, I'm not suggesting, I'm saying it. I mean, it's not everybody knows.
What are the evidence you have to prove that?
The evidence is overwhelming. You go, you gather a crowd, and the people know. You put a bus, the going rate is 2,000 naira for a supporter.
This is news to us, 2,000 per supporters.
No, you see, I keep complaining that you media guys don't do investigative journalism anymore. You just report what people report. What you need to do is go and ask. If you go to a crowd, you find the same people that are gathered in a crowd being the same people that are gathered in the next crowd. And, you know, it amazes me how we, the public, forget politicians now, think as a man of the public people are impressed by crowds. Even though that you know that the person who is gathering the crowds has paid them to be there. I don't see, it's not, to me, it's not impressive. I think it is a technique that politicians have used to give the impression that they are loved and they're supported, and then go back to the basics. What are those basics? The basics are very simple. You end up rigging an election, and your justification for rigging the election is that you're popular. And why are you popular? Because you had crowds. Why did you have crowds? Because you paid them. Why? So I think we need to be wiser. If you're popular, walk the streets. I was in Ogoni the other day. I did door-to-door in Ogoni. And when I finished doing the door-to-door, I slept in Ogoni. I slept in Ogoni in what people describe as the most dangerous part of Ogoni. And I had no security. You know, that's door-to-door. That to me is a sign or a test of your popularity. Walk around. Don't carry any security. Move. Interact with the people. Enter the market. Engage the people. Talk to them. Ask them their problems. How many politicians have gone around the whole state asking these questions? Very few, if any at all. Going to a local government, gathering a crowd at the headquarters, and making a speech, and then jumping in your car and driving off. I walked through the streets of Gokana. I walked through the communities in Kana. I spent time with the people. I slept there, talking with the boys and the youths into the late night. That to me is politics, and you know, I'm happy that I'm getting the chance to do that.
Very interesting. Let's just look at our election and how elections are done in other parts of the world. Now, you've just raised a very important point. A gathering crowd is not really the in thing, and really it even amazes some of us that many of this crowd do not even know the agenda of the political parties. I was talking to one at a particular rally and I asked, what does this candidate stand for? They cannot say. So what do you think is wrong with the way we go about our politics?
I think it's a mixture of things. It's the fault of the population, the people first. I think if you have a different style of leadership, the people will know different. People are hungry. People need to eat. And if people are hungry and they need to eat, what people will do is they will look for who can give them food. You can't blame them. They're hungry. They need to eat. So if PDP, APC, whichever party comes along and is able to provide them something to eat for that day, that week, or that month, we'll take it. Because politicians have been deceiving the people for so long that they will say to you, well, what's the difference? Even if we believe in them, even if we understand their policies, will they truly implement them? One of the reasons I used the word roadmap for my agenda was that I felt that the word manifesto is now overblown, overflogged. Manifestos never manifest. So we're now going down the road of a roadmap. I think for me it's important that you know, people start to ask themselves the question, what kind of River State do you want? You know, do you want this kind of continuation? Do you want business as usual? I said, look, if you're happy with the way River State is, if you're happy with the way the politics is being played, don't vote for Labour. Don't vote for Tonye Princewill. But if you want it to change, if you want to take it to a different level, if you want to see a River State you don't recognize in 1 or 2 years because it has improved so much, things are so different, then of course, I'm the man. I'm your man. I'm the person to vote for.
You're listening to Viewpoint, and I'm talking to Prince Tonye Princewill. Prince Tonye Princewill is the governorship candidate, governorship standard bearer for the Labour Party in Rivers State in the 2015 February 28th governorship election in the state. And we're looking at issues about the governorship election. How prepared are we for this particular election? What is agenda for Rivers people? Those are the things we'll be talking about. Now, looking at our kind of politics, it is amazing that for the first time, and this is really troubling, we see America come to Rivers State asking politicians to sign a peace pact. And we saw the British, they came to Rivers State asking politicians to sign peace pact. And just on Thursday, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Tonye Princewill, also called some politicians to sign peace pact. You have signed about 2 or 3 of such peace pacts, am I right? Now, the trouble is, I've never seen it happen any other part in Nigeria, in any state in Nigeria. And tell me, where in the world do we have politicians signing peace pact? I mean, is it not strange to you?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there are 2 things that come out of that. Number one, that I think is quite important, is that many of these people see Rivers State as a potential flashpoint. And for me, that is an indication of a problem. They don't see Delta, they don't see other areas.
Not even Lagos.
Not even Lagos as bad as they see Rivers State. And I think you want to look at the leadership when you ask that question. I think it shows something of the leadership within the state. They're worried about us. Maybe it's what they hear people saying. Maybe it's the threats. Maybe it's the talk. Maybe we need to change our rhetoric. So that's the first thing that really comes to mind. I think the language of the leadership is very important, and for whatever reason, the language of the leadership has led them to be concerned. So that's number one. Number 2 issue, which I think is very important, is what are we signing these peace pacts for? I mean, you sign a peace pact in the morning, and in the evening of the same day, that peace pact has been broken.
Abuse.
It just brings me to one point. I think it's a very important point that we need to think about. The problem is not signing of peace pacts, Jim. The problem is that there is no consequence for actions. In other words, there is nothing that will happen to anybody if you decide to violate this electoral process. There's no consequence. How many people have been arrested, detained, and charged to court and found guilty for electoral violence? So you see, it's not so much as signing of peace pacts. I said it when I was signing, that people need to own up to the consequences of their actions. If, for instance, a politician is identified with a political violence, then that politician can be sanctioned in several ways. We know that. But I've even told the Americans and the British, I said, look, you don't give visas to these people. Freeze their accounts abroad. When you start doing those kind of things, people will now think twice. But as long as there's no consequence for electoral violence, then electoral violence will continue. Because electoral violence is the way to power. And people who have gotten to power through electoral violence have no consequence. And in Nigeria, people have a short memory. So if you do something wrong today, tomorrow they forgive you. So people say, let me do it. When I do it tomorrow, they will forgive me anyway. You need to have consequence for actions. In the absence of consequence for actions, I'm afraid actions will continue.
Now, let me ask you, as one who is taking part in this election, Amber, do you have any fears for this election, particularly the governorship election in Rivers State?
Yeah, I mean, I won't say I don't have fears. Of course I do. I mean, we're concerned. We're definitely concerned. But for me, the priority has to be that we remain vigilant. If we act only on our fears, we won't leave our house every day. If we act only on our fears, Ebola would have made everybody paralyzed. The fact is that as much as you have fears, you also have hope. And I'm having hope for Rivers State where people will come out and say, look, enough of this nonsense. We cannot continue like this. Our children cannot continue to grow up in a place where we're afraid of what will happen the next minute. We can't continue to have our children looking for jobs. We want to see a society where people are respected, where every man has his own space and every man knows that he can wake up in the morning, go out, pursue happiness and find it. And so for me, it's fear, yes, but fear, they say, is false evidence appearing real. I want to believe that the fear of violence and the fear of all that will not come to fruition, and I will have a peaceful election, and Rivers people will come out and tell people exactly what they want.
We're listening to the Labour Party governorship candidate. Tonye Princewill is with us in the studio. We're taking a look at the 2015 election, and it's just some few weeks to the governorship election and some few days to the presidential election. How prepared are we for this particular election? And I'm talking to Tonye Princewill all about that. Of course, you can be part of the discussion. 08113999937 and 08147461263. Now, just before we throw open the telephone line, and let me just quickly also inform that we're on Twitter, #LabourGuba, and you can also get us on Facebook and Viewpoint PH. Just before we throw open the telephone lines, because several calls are currently, let's just make a quick clarification here. Last time I had in the studio, that's about 2 weeks ago, the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Abga, Charles Harry, Charles Harry, and we said that you resigned from the Rivers State Economic Council. And he said he cannot recollect that you resigned. Could you clarify that? Did you resign, or were you not reappointed?
Sorry?
Did you resign, or you were not reappointed?
Well, I did. I resigned. When he says he cannot recollect, I don't know how he would recollect, because he is not my boss. He didn't appoint me to the Economic Advisory Council, so he has no idea the conversations between myself and the governor. So it's understandable that he would not recollect. For me, one of the big challenges you have in politics is he said, she said, always trying to find some kind of manner in which you either countenance or change what somebody else has said. He's my older brother. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a competitor in this race. Whoever God decides, by God's grace, it will be me, but whoever God decides, it's not a do or die situation where we have to kill ourselves. So I'm not sure what purpose he had of saying that, but like I said, the person who appointed me was the governor, so the communication was between himself and myself.
You were in the ACN and you ran AC, and you ran for the governorship there. You indicated interest to be the PDP governorship candidate, and that did not come to fruition. And now you are in the Labour Party. A lot of people may say, well, isn't this absence of ideology?
No, I think there are a couple of things that amaze me about Nigeria and Nigerians, and that is one of them. The fact that they actually think the ideology actually rests in the party. The ideology doesn't rest in the party. The ideology rests in the individual, simply because the parties don't have any ideology. So if your ideology does not find fruition in a political party, you should have the freedom to pursue that ideology elsewhere. What amazes me is that in spite of the humiliation and the poor treatment that people receive, they still sit down in the party and accept it. For me, I didn't even receive as much humiliation as others. I only paid 11 million naira for a form.
Are you talking about the People's Democratic Party?
Yes, I paid 11 million naira for a form, which is, to me, is even annoying enough. But some people went on to pay 2 million, 3 million naira administrative charge to the state secretariat. Went on, in fact, I know a candidate who, after paying 11 million naira, paid 3 million naira to the state secretariat as administrative charge. Then he paid another 9 million naira to the party to do a rally, another 4 million naira to do some other event, and 1 million naira to his local government chairman, who went on to now say that he is not a member of the party. And that same person is still in the party today, having not only been disqualified, but there was no primary that you can say happened, because everything leading up to it was a charade. Now, if you truly, genuinely are a politician of conviction, where is that conviction? The conviction dies because a process which is clearly, let me use the word, illegal, to put it mildly, is thrust in your face. Your conviction dies. No. I said it many times before that I didn't even want them to disqualify Wike. Some people were saying he should be disqualified. No, he has the right to contest. He should contest. But all I wanted was have a level playing field, or the semblance of a level playing field. Now, if you give a semblance of a level playing field, then let's contest. Let's see what happens. But we didn't even see the field. There was no field, talk less of a level playing one. So I have said that finally we now have the opportunity for Nigerians and Rivers people to vote. And there, let us go to the field, let us contest. Anybody who wins, you win fair and square, I will accept it. But don't try to muzzle people, don't try to prevent people from speaking. If you're a politician of conviction, which I am, then you will want to give people the opportunity to vote for you or not vote for you. It's as simple as that.
But it is strange. I was thinking that Tonye Princewill should have realized by now that politics in Nigeria is all about money, shuffling people, and
should we accept it?
But that's what it is.
No, it's not. It should not be that way. As far as I'm concerned, you should actually go against what is wrong. We should not just accept it. You know, why don't we just look at South Africa and say we should just accept apartheid? That's the way it is. Nothing can change. Some people have to get up and say no. Now, those people who get up and say no are going to be criticized. Those people are going to be attacked. But it's not about party. Why have we moved from patriotism to partisanship? Now, the country is less important. The party is more important. Those of us that are accusing APC of attacking Jonathan, many of us say they do it against the interest of the country. And even if the country is going to burn, so be it. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is how many of us see the state as more important than the party? I'm one of them. From day one, I've always said it.
Okay, Tonye Princewill, we want you to hold your thoughts on that because that's a very, very big one. How many Rivers people actually see Rivers State as more important than the political party? A very big one that is. And we will talk more about that. We'll be sharing Tonye Prince's view on that. Now, quickly, we'll have to throw open the telephone line 08113999937 08147461263. And I'm talking to Prince Tonye Princewill. He is the Labour Party governorship candidate. He's discussing with us preparations for 2015 election, and we're looking at what has been achieved so far, and are we really ready for this election? We will take some calls here. I'll come back to the studio. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Sharon.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Viewpoint. You're welcome. Tell us your name, please.
Well, my name is Miriam.
Miriam, thank you.
Yes. Please, I just want to ask Mr. Tonye Princewill a question because I am a concerned person who go and perform civic responsibility by voting. But I have a concern. Do you think that I have been following up the campaigns? I do think that the PDP candidate sounds very violent and is wrong. I don't think that he has a preconceived mindset that they are going to win the elections by all costs. But that's wondering because I've seen that Mr. Tonye and the APC candidates have been putting up a calm front. So I want to know how they tend to ensure that they are not intimidated into defeat, and how we're going to be sure that we are going to vote and be safe and not be intimidated by that people that really sound violent. I am concerned that I want to know.
Thank you so much, Miriam. And I like the fact that you said you may be wrong. Well, that's very good. But thank you so much all the same, Miriam. And we have another caller here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Shimon.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Viewpoints. Sir, I didn't get the name, sir.
Yes, from Kondere. So I want to let me get the Honorable Tonye Princewill in the house. My brother, I want to react to the subject of Tonye Princewill against a particular candidate. Yes, we take it to the candidate. My brother, the man is a man who has worked in our and we know his character. My brother is desperate of how to win election. He's desperate of power. So that by the grace of God, we shall see who's who. I don't believe that he win the election. So let's my take on that.
All right, thank you so much. The man from Wundale, though you didn't tell us your name, but hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning. Please, we want you to turn down the volume on your radio set. Just radio set. Now, could you turn on the volume on your radio set?
Very
well. Or move away from the radio. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Yes, go ahead. Oh, okay. Okay, we lost that caller there, but we'll just take one here. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Viewpoints.
Good morning.
Engineer Charles from Ahoda. Thank you. Your question, please. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. We can hear you, Engineer Charles. Well, I think there's a problem with the telephone line there, but we'll just get through. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Sir, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I am Uchenna, I'm calling from Nigeria.
Uchenna, thank you. Your question.
I thank you, Honorable Tonye Princewill. God bless you.
Thank you.
I think this is that River State people should turn their back against the two contenders, the two other contestants, to vote you to be the governor of River State.
Amen.
You and government will be the government to give my people road, to give my people electricity. The people of Rebecca in a chain. The people that gave River State government in the same administration of Oyakulomi about 500 acres of land without any road, without electricity. So, your government will use you to settle the problem in River State. We will vote you to be the governor of River State. I will employ all River State indigenous, both non-indigenous in the state, to give their massive support and votes to you for peace in River State.
Thank you so much, Uchenna. God bless you. All right, thank you so much. Now, we'll just take one more call. Hello, good morning. Hello. The number is to call us 081-1399937 and 081-47461263. And hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. I'm Kevin. I'm good morning, Mr. Princewill, Honorable Governor to be.
Thank you so much, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from, sir?
Ahmed, calling from Port Harcourt.
Ahmed, thank you so much, Ahmed.
Honorable in the studio, please. I want to know the health of non-indigenous in this River State. Because as you can see, for some years back, we see how we suffer. Even to build our house, it becomes a problem. You pay times 3 of what you bought the land before you build the house. And secondly, the question, what is our hope in this major road called Rumokoro, which we always observe an odor from morning to the midnight? Please, I need explanation to do for us on that road.
Thank you so much. I think we would answer all of these calls before we take others because many of them are still coming in. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so we had quite a few questions there, but let me start with Miriam. Miriam opened up the show and she said she's a concerned citizen. She wants to perform her civic responsibilities. She thinks and she believes, she may be wrong, that PDP candidate is violent, but myself and the APC candidate do not sound or appear violent. She describes us as having a calm disposition. Well, I just want to say very quickly that Miriam, the truth of the matter is that violence can come from anywhere. We signed a pact to say not only are we taking responsibility for our actions, but also the actions of our supporters. And I want to think that that is a very solemn oath that we have taken and that we will live by it. I always say that violence will get us nowhere. I always implore my supporters and other supporters not to engage in violence. I use the words of Goodluck Jonathan to say that the ambition of his ambition or the ambition of any of his people is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. And I think that's very important. We want people to be here, to be governed. We don't want violence, because if you start to do violence, violence goes around. What goes around comes around. So let's avoid the violence. And the politicians that you are fighting for, the politicians that you are killing yourself for, their children are abroad. They themselves are abroad. And if anything happens to you, your family will be on their own. So please, please, please be wise. If it is their money, collect their money, chop their money, but vote your conscience. Vote for people who you know are peaceful people. People who ultimately will move the state forward. Ask yourself a very basic question. Which of these candidates will you like your children to grow up to be? Which of these candidates will you like your children to look up to? These, I think, are the indications of what you need to look at. Now, in the case of your second question, which is how do we avoid intimidation? It's very easy. You see, unlike the other candidates, I have contested for governor before. Many people don't realize that. That's a very basic difference. The experience of having contested for governor in itself is something that is invaluable. I contested in 2007. That was 8 long years ago. And since then, I've been fairly quiet politically, even though for some strange reason my name has featured. I've never held a political office before. So I know what is involved in this, Miriam, and I can tell you that one experience I've had from 2007 is that do not be afraid. It's all in God's hands. Everybody wants to die, but everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. I am comfortable and at peace with myself. I am going into this election without any fear because my conscience is clear. My love for Rivers State is complete. And as far as I'm concerned, God will show his hand in Rivers State. God will show his hand. As for Uchenna, thank you. Your words of support. Ahmed as well, your words of support. I appreciate it. I believe very strongly the best way for us to change our politics is for the 2 big parties to lose. Because if those 2 big parties lose, the luggage of political baggage that they carry with them will leave us. We'll have fresh faces in politics. We'll have new people coming up. We'll have new faces. So unfortunately, I have no offense to APC and PDP. We have very good people. But a lot of very good people in APC and a lot of very good people in PDP will not see the light of day because you're surrounded by the old faces that will not allow you grow. If a Labour Party government comes in, Labour Party will bring APC people, it will bring PDP people, and yes, Ahmed, it will bring non-indigenous as well. I have said that in my government in 2015 we'll have at least minimum of 2 non-indigenous commissioners. That's a commitment I've made. I've made it public. I've also said that the traditional leaders of these non-indigenous communities will have a place in the Traditional Rulers Council. In other words, Ezendibo will be seated. We want to make sure that you have your own traditional representative. It's called the Traditional Rulers Council. And if you're a traditional ruler recognized, then you will have a place in the Traditional Rulers Council. So I want non-indigenous to understand there are over 30% of you in this state, and you people are not being given the pride of place. At least you're not given the pride of place when the elections are over. Before elections, they'll recognize you, but once the elections are over, they will lock the door and they'll remind you where you come from. Now, I am somebody who everybody knows. I'm very detribalized. So what you'll expect from me is a government that will be very inclusive. As for your question about Rumokoro, the traffic, it's not just in Rumokoro. Traffic is becoming an increasing problem all through Rivers State. It's not just about building roads. It's also about traffic management. The problem is that even if the traffic management experts come and sit down and advise government is not always ready to listen. My own government is going to be a listening government, a government that understands. I've traveled the world. I see how things are done differently. When I say I can make Rivers State the Dubai of Africa, I know exactly what I mean. I know how to go about it. It's not just about spending government money. It's spending government money creatively. And now that you have reduced oil revenue from low oil price, you need a governor who can think on his feet. I think that's why I come in.
Yeah, interesting. So much has been said that, but you see, those in power, they seem not to give so much attention to your words. The last time you spoke and you talked about the mismanagement of the state resources, the governor of the state, His Excellency Chimechi, waved those statement aside and saying he's a small boy and he cries always. Is this not a crying of a small boy again?
No, I think, when you're in politics, you have to be able to develop a thick skin. You need to, when you go out and you start confronting people and talking to them face to face, some of them will tell you to your face exactly how they feel about you. And for me, I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you present yourself to the public, then be prepared for public scrutiny. I mentioned a couple of things about Amechi's government that I wasn't satisfied with. I've always done that. Even when Amechi and I were working closely together, if there was a time to criticize, I criticized. I scored him 6/10 in his first tenure. That means that there are things he didn't do right. Now I scored him 2/10. So obviously there are lots of things he hasn't done right. But if you look at it on balance, he has still done a lot of good things. Now, unfortunately, people see politics as either black or white. You're either praising somebody or you're criticizing the person. In fact, when you come and do the two, they say you're not stable, which baffles me. Why is it that somebody who is good cannot do bad things and somebody who is bad cannot do good things? I've criticized all the candidates. I've criticized Wike, but Wike is a very good politician. He's a very good grassroots politician. So you can criticize people constructively. But when you do it, if it is waved aside, it's for the people of the state. I wasn't speaking for Amechi's attention. If I wanted to speak for Amechi's attention, I can speak to him directly. I wanted the Rivers people to understand that there was something wrong in the sale of our assets. And I wanted them to have in their minds an understanding that politicians, what they say sometimes is not always what they do, and that they should be scrutinized. I am available for scrutiny. He, of course, is available for scrutiny. The governor of state is responsible for public funds. So if anybody waves it aside or dismisses it as the cry of a complainant, then that's fine. But for me, it is important that people understand that what is important. I didn't come to politics to make friends. I came to politics to move the state forward. I came to politics to change politics. Now, if you have me as governor, you can be sure that all this political violence will end. Simply because you try it, there will be a consequence for it. And let me give you a typical example of a big difference between myself and, say, for instance, previous governments. Odile has a perpetual injunction on the EFCC, preventing them from, in quote, harassing Rivers officials. We will lift that injunction. We have said it that that injunction will be lifted. If you're a Rivers State official, you are subject to scrutiny. And if that scrutiny is unfair, justice will prevail. But if it is fair, then you will see justice. So for me, it's a simple matter. You know, if the Rivers people ask themselves the questions I asked and they don't get answers, then they know what to do in the next election.
And you want the two major parties, the PDP and the APC, to lose in this election. And in fact, you are asking Rivers people not to vote for them because you believe they're the same set of politicians. Aren't you one of them?
No, I'm not. I'm clearly not. I mean, first of all, let's ask ourselves the question. Someone said the definition of madness is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. You see, when you look at PDP versus APC in Rivers State, it's actually the same family fighting themselves. If you think about it, it's old PDP and new PDP. New PDP changed its name to APC. So in this state, you have PDP literally fighting PDP. So if you think you actually have a choice, you have been deceived. The choice is not between PDP and APC. The choice is between them and the Labour Party. That's the real choice. So we've said it many times before that if you're happy with the way the state is, if you're happy with the way the state is being run, then don't vote for the Labour Party. Don't vote for Tonye Princewill. But if you want it to change, and we're not talking about change for the sake of change, we're talking about positive change, we're talking about progress, we're talking about where you were and then where you need to be. And if you want that kind of a government, then of course, Tonye Princewill is the person. I'm not only friendly with the business community, I'm friendly with the masses, I'm friendly with the political space, political class. I have good relationships with APC people, with PDP. We cannot run this state as a party. We have to run this state as a people. So APC people are important. PDP people are important. Labour Party people are important. Every other party, they're all citizens. And do not forget that the majority of citizens don't carry cards. They're not members of any political party. So what about them? Where do they count in all of this? So I think we need to move away from partisanship back to patriotism. What is important is Rivers State, not political parties. And we need a candidate that can bring us together. We need a candidate that can preach peace. Now we all know who that candidate is. What are we waiting for?
You're listening to Viewpoint, and I'm talking to the Labour Party governorship candidate Tonye Princewill, and he believes that what is important is not the political party. Patriotism should be towards Rivers State and not to any political party. And he says that what is necessary at a point is that candidate that can take Rivers State to the next level of development. Now, we'll be asking him more. He has a one-point roadmap to a renew Rivers State. We'll be finding out more about his one-point agenda for Rivers State. But first, we'll take some calls. Several people have been waiting to call to participate in the program. 081-13999937 and 081-47461263 for SMS only. 0039118840 and on Twitter hashtag Labour Guba. We're also on Facebook Viewpoint PH, and we'll take some calls now. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. All right. Hello. Hello, good morning.
We waited too long.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Viewpoints.
Yes, my pleasure. My name is Dr. Solomon.
Dr. Solomon, thank you.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Tonye Princewill.
Please do.
Yes, the question is this. He is in the Labour Party, and I just heard him say that the gubernatorial elections is between PDP and PDP. Themselves are PDP and the Labour Party. But he too was also in the PDP. So is there any difference? Now let me go further to talk about his support for the president. He says that he is supporting Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, but Dr. Goodluck Jonathan is supporting the candidate of his own party. I really cannot understand the sense in that you are supporting somebody who is not supporting you. What is the logic?
Very well. That Tonye Princewill would answer that question. Thank you so much, Doctor. We quite appreciate that. Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Viewpoints. Now, could you turn on the volume on the radio set or move away from the radio?
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, very well. Tell us the name again. Theophilos.
Yes, I'm calling from
Theophilos. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Yes, I want to talk about the kiss pack. You guys saying that it's fine. I'm going to ask you quickly about the kiss pack. Because I can really clearly understand that, quicker. My madam have said it in April. As long as Quicker is concerned, no other member of any party to come to the pool. Quicker is basically for PDP.
So you want to find out if Quicker is covered in the peace pact?
So I want to understand what I've done about the Quicker. Because if you go card your bond, the colleague of mine who's really successful for his car was on the way to his house. I think he broke all his glass, he entered his house, stole everything in his house. Not only 50 things are done there. The stage, the microphone was stolen, keyboard, everything that was there was stolen. So as long as I'm concerned, the Quicker, I'll take it over.
All right, thank you so much, Theophilos.
And I think it's very much something about it.
Thank you so much.
It doesn't involve Quicker or not.
All right, does the peace pact covers or Quicker? Well, thank you so much, Theophilos. And I have Alfred Arlison here. Alfred, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning, Alfred.
Yes.
We can hear you. Go ahead, Alfred. We can hear you. Good morning. Thank you so much, Alfred Arlison, for joining us.
Good morning, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm very well, sir.
Okay, my brother, I appreciate the fact that you want political visibility, and there's nothing wrong about that. But look at my question for you, my brother. During the period where you were in ACN, where you came and got the tickets, and became the David Akil Goliath, there was no cry, there was no wahala, there was no problem, and you were celebrated. Now I want to also find out, I'm aware that you boycotted the primaries of the PDP. How then you are saying that you are aware that there was no free and fair primaries, there was no platform to enable other people to run the election? I want you to answer that question, my brother. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Alfred Arlison. God bless you too. Okay. And good morning. Let's take one more call.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you so much.
Akanto.
Oh, Akanto.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, my brother. How are you?
Yes, I'm very, very fine, and I'm very, very happy that you appear on this platform this morning to answer, talk to highest issue about the state. Right? I want to ask my proximity license to go before. We have some candidates in other parties that they will implement the unit report for the whole people. And for me, I know that the unit report is not to be implemented by the state government. And successive administration, the present administration did not provide what they asked them to do for the whole people also. Sir, in your own view, or when you come to power,
Council
to implement the unit report. And apart from that, you emerge as a governor under Labour Party, how will you work in synergy with the federal government if the federal government meant from the APC or the PDP? Then secondly, you have your goal at heart. Only in the development of the body, the development of the internal body, do you have a at heart? And the one of the people technical that provide everything for the Nigerian state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kanto. We should just take those questions.
Yeah, I think we should. Quite a few questions here. Dr. Solomon says, I'm in the Labour Party. And he's wondering how, if first of all, he says, I'm in the Labour Party, but then was I not part of them? So what's the difference? The question is very simple. You see, I came to politics really from the outside. I had not done politics before. Usually people get into politics and that's where they make their name. They become politicians. Before politicians, they have no history or there's no career that you can point at them. I came from a career into politics. So when I was coming in, I was coming from the outside. And that was when I was in the AC. Now, I have never really been fully accepted as an insider in politics, and I don't blame them, and I don't want to be fully accepted as the insider in politics, because the politics that is being played right now is not the kind of politics that we should be playing. So, the answer to you, Dr. Solomon, was that I was never really part of them. I was working with Amechi. Yes, I was, but I was not really part of the Amechi structure. As for the support for the president, look, the support for the president is total. It doesn't work like, oh, if you don't support me, I will not support you. The president is the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and as far as I am concerned, he is the best president that we have had so far. Some people say they will support him because he's their brother. It doesn't work like that for me. I support you because I believe in you, and I believe in him. Now, I'm not one of those people who is expecting that the president will come and win primary for me. The president left the party to conduct itself appropriately. If the party has not conducted itself appropriately, maybe the president cannot sanction them the way he would like, because at the end of the day, he has to worry about governance, and he also has to worry about his own presidential election. So I am not looking for the president to come and win a PDP ticket for me. And frankly speaking, I am very happy with the Labour Party ticket that I have. What I do know is that the president deserves our support. For those people who are now criticizing him and talking about him in negative manner, they should feel free to do so. Presidents, just like governors, will face criticism. But those of us that know that if you look at Obasanjo, if you look at Yar'Adua, Jonathan has performed better than both of them put together. Now, there are issues with Jonathan. Mr. President has not done things in certain areas that he should have done. I, for instance, I'm not happy with the internal democracy within PDP. I think he could have done more. But that does not take away from the fact that he is a good president. Now, I don't expect huge change in 2015 at the presidential level. If you have a Jonathan presidency, and I pray that we do, I expect that he will use 2015 to 2019 to start to usher in the kind of democracy that you and I really want. But if you go and make the mistake of putting a Buhari there, you have 8 years of this same system continue. Because who are the people surrounding Buhari? Even if you like Buhari, even if you are deceived into believing that Buhari is a politician who is going to come and change everything, who are the people around him? How did he get to that power? How did he become the APC candidate? He became the APC candidate simply because he subscribes to Almajiris in the north. In other words, his popularity in the north is what has made him the APC candidate. His value in APC is that he subscribes to Almajiris. They love him. That should not be grounds for a president. So for me, there is a categorical, crystal clear difference between a Buhari presidency and a Jonathan presidency. So I'm supporting a Jonathan presidency without reservation. Not because he's my brother, but simply because he's a better person for president. And that should not be based on whether he supports my PDP aspiration or not. He may support my Labour Party aspiration tomorrow. You never know. So that's that. Theophilus, the peace pact did cover Okrika. And unfortunately, the actions that happened in Okrika are an example of why I said that signing a peace pact in itself is not enough. There needs to be consequence for actions. I have been to Okrika since. Nothing happened to me. population is there. But the case where you said that they've said that nobody should come to Okrika and so on and so forth, I don't know, because I've been to Okrika and I went in and I came out peacefully. But you're right, it's something that needs to have consequence. So people should catch people and people should be punished. Alfred says I boycotted the PDP primaries and he wants to understand why, if I boycotted the PDP primaries, why am I complaining? Look, PDP primaries, for those that don't know politics, you decide a governor from delegates. That's how you decide a governor. Delegates choose a governor. Now you decide delegates from a World Congress. And a World Congress is conducted by a party. Now, the party at the state level clearly was in the firm grip of Wike. We said, as much as it is in the firm grip of Wike, it should be an open World Congress. It was not. It was not an open World Congress. Now, I believe that if you're a powerful politician, you should be prepared to subject yourself to popular votes. Now, unfortunately, Wike did not subject himself to popular votes. So that is why there was a complaint. Now, there's nothing wrong with complaining. If your rights are overridden, you have the right. If anybody tramples on your rights, you have the right to complain. But I will tell you quietly that I already knew where we're going, and I already had my plan B in place. So I was prepared to give PDP the benefit of the doubt, and I did. But at the point when they did what they did, I took my option B. I'm not complaining. The complaints are done. I had to express to everybody what was going on, and I'm not the only one. Other candidates did. But I took action. I did not complain, sit down, keep quiet, and then continue eating at the same table with the people who had trampled upon my rights. That, I'm afraid, I cannot do. So that is why there was a complaint. Akanto from Agoni is asking a couple of questions, very important. UNEP report. Of course, UNEP report is easy to implement. There are certain things that the government can do, federal government that can do very quickly to show that they are serious about the implementation of the UNEP report. They haven't done it, but I believe that they will. It takes a bit of two things. Number one, if you're the governor of the state, it's not about gra-gra. It's not about making noise. It's not about fighting. It's about persuasion. Just as we're trying to persuade people to vote for us, we need to persuade the federal government into doing what is the right thing to do. And I can do that. In terms of working with the federal government, I believe the federal government will be a PDP government. I believe Jonathan will win this election. But if I am wrong and Buhari wins the election, we have to find a way of working together. That's politics. Amechi was not my best friend. I didn't know Amechi before Adam, but I worked well with him because I did it in the interest of the state. I had never known Amechi before 2007. In 2007, Supreme Court judgment brought Amechi in, and many people can see the way we worked. In fact, people thought we knew ourselves from way back, simply because I was committed to moving the state forward. And in the commitment to move this state forward, I will work with anybody. The good, the bad, or the ugly. I'm not saying Amechi is ugly. All I'm saying is that I will work with the good, the bad, or the ugly. And for me, I will work with whoever to make Rivers State move forward. We need to move away from egos. We need to move away from personalities. We need to move towards our patriotism, our love for the state. People are dying. People are dying of hunger. The same money people are using to pay school fees for 4 years, politicians are drinking it in 4 minutes. It doesn't make sense. As for what I will do for the Ogoni people, I believe very strongly that the Ogonis will hear in the weeks and the days to come about the kind of strides we're going to make within the Ogoni kingdom. I have chosen a deputy from Ogoni, Mr. Ken Sarawiyo, a renowned fighter, aka King Jazz, football captain, former judge, Customer Court judge, and somebody who has always had the Ogonis at heart is my deputy. He is there to make sure that I protect the Ogoni interest, and I will. But beyond that, I just said it earlier in the program, Akanto, I don't know if you heard me. I did door-to-door campaign in Bori, door-to-door campaign all around Ogoni. Walking from community to community, I slept in Bera, a place where people cannot try to sleep in. I slept there. I didn't go there with any security. I love Ogoni people. I love Rivers people. And you will be rest assured that under my government, you will see, and any person who is coming to prospect for anything within the Ogoni kingdom will have to cite their offices within that kingdom, within that community. These are the kind of things that I'm prepared to do, and I believe that if Shego will allow me, when we start talking about my actual agenda for Rivers people, you will hear that job creation, there's no industry in Ogoni. There is no industry in Ogoni. If you go to your equivalent of Zambezi Forest, which we've been to, even if we use those trees there to create a toothpick factory, I know how many people that will employ. So Ogonis will have no doubt that APC felt that Ogonis were not so important. PDP felt that Ogonis were not so important. And they chose their governorship candidates and deputies outside of there. But I have come to Ogoni and I have chosen a deputy from Ogoni. When you look at the fight between himself and Wike, and he's moving to APC, I think it is for his vice presidential interest. Amechi wanted to be the vice president of Nigeria. And the vice president of Nigeria is where he was heading. He was almost getting to the vice presidential candidate slot before things happened last minute. That was removed. So Amechi's move from PDP to APC was not the correct move. I'm saying that categorically. If it was an ideological drive, what has changed? What is it about the ideology of APC that suggests that Amechi should move there? There's nothing. Change. No. Is that an ideology change? What does that mean? Is that ideology? That's not ideology.
Proper handling of corruption? Tackling of insecurity?
Oh, is it the proper handling of corruption that they use to sell our assets? The River State government sold our assets using proper handling of corruption? There is no ideological basis for that shift. The basis for that shift was political. So when I say that, there is no contradiction. Now, let's move on to ask ourselves a very basic question. Very, very basic question. If you have ideology of PDP and ideology of APC clearly defined, would it not have meant then that as you are joining APC, APC would have gotten you to sign up to something? So as you're coming into this party, this is what we stand for. Subscribe to it. There is no such thing. The move was just simply wake up this morning you're in PDP, move to APC. As simple as that. And people who are loyal to him moved alongside him. Now, look, I could have moved as well. There are a lot of incentives for me to move. But on principle, I said fighting Jonathan is not where I stand. Now look at me now, I'm in the Labour Party. I could have moved to a different party. But the ideology of the Labour Party was the only one that stood with me.
Could you tell us this ideology?
Oh yes. Very much close to my own ideology. Free health, free education, primary, jobs. Central to Labour Party's ideology is job creation. So for me, it was like a perfect home. So when you're talking about health, you're talking about education, you're talking about transport, you're talking about housing. Nobody talks about transport and housing. Labour Party does. Labour Party has it enshrined. And it's a pity that the Labour Party movement and the Labour Party, the politics, have not quite come together. But it may happen. I hope it does. Because workers are what move a state forward. Workers are what drive an economy. And if you have workers voting for a party that doesn't believe in workers, you have a party where people are not bothered about pensioners. Look at pensioners now going through crisis. Civil servants going through crisis. Why are these same civil servants and those same pensioners voting for parties that don't care about them? I don't understand. So if we can bring them together and then genuinely deal with the people, then we can have things happening. So ideology, conviction, yes, I raise my hand. But ideology is not about political agenda. It's not about wanting to be a vice president. It's not about wanting to be a governor. It's about wanting to move your people forward and knowing how. That's why I'm different.
All right, we're going to take some calls. You're listening to Viewpoints, and I'm talking to the Labour Party governorship candidate, Tonye Princewill. Preparations for 2015 governorship election. Telephone lines are still open on 0213999937, 0214746123, and hashtag Labour Guba. Yes, that is on Twitter. Hashtag Labour Guba. Joining us now, I have Gary Toba. Gary Toba is a national coordinator of Ken Saiwa Associate. So Gary Toba, good morning.
Good morning, my brother Shigo. Good morning, my brother, the Excellency Tonye Princewill.
Not yet, oh. Remain small.
My little contribution is on the UNEP report. Because it's sad when a lot of people don't understand what is going on the UNEP report and they will bring it to politics. Well, the report, the state government has said on their own part, even at the local government level. The report compare the state and local and federal. But the leadership of President Jonathan have taken certain key steps that on the way of total implementation of the UNEP report. And this was done with the input of the community, where we have a meeting on the 8th of August in Bowie. And we're going to give the federal government 5 conditions. As we speak, President Jonathan has implemented 4 of those conditions. So I think issues of the UNEP report cannot come in times of campaign in 2015. That is why the center will say stated it time without numbers that no political party can use that in their campaign. So, and secondly, it is also important that the people also have to let their people understand the way President Jonathan has gone about this report. So, issues of a report, anybody that promised I will implement in that report is not an issue. But for you, the Excellency, I think a right-thinking Ogoni man will say that first of all, for your interest, you are taking everything from Ogoni. But for the Ogoni support, I think it's the right time that the Ogoni people will sit down and take their destiny in their hands by agreeing on where they will go. But I can tell you that the Ogonis have not at any time endorsed any candidate as people are saying on the basis of newspaper. But in the few days ahead, Ogoni will communicate to the public what their stand on the governorship of Rivers.
Because we don't have enough time.
But for the president, I think the majority of the Ogoni people, about 95% of Ogoni people, are supporting President Jonathan.
Thank you so much, Danny Toba. Do you have any comments on that?
No, I think Danny has spoken quite eloquently. He's a politician, but his love for Ogoni is not compromised. I know him very well. I just hope that by the time the Ogonis look at the political parties, they will know who genuinely cares about their interests. And I hope that they will know that party is the Labour Party. I'm really expecting the Ogonis to vote for us in mass.
And talking about interests, you're a Calabari man from the Riverine area, and many Calabari politicians are insisting on a Riverine governor in 2015. Is this to your thinking, a Riverine governor?
Yeah, I mean it's obvious. I'm one of those people, because of my exposure, I don't like to get into ethnic debates, because I really, somebody who is from Ogoni can even love you better than more than somebody who is from your own community. It's not for me such important, but for the people of Rivers State it is. People of Rivers State are very passionate about it. Now, if those who are in leadership positions don't protect the people or the interests of the people, then what are they doing there? So as I am now, I would be very foolish for me to tell you that the Riverine upland dichotomy does not exist. It exists. It's enshrined, not just in our workings. It's enshrined in our psyche, the way we think. Now, if people come and try to withdraw those boundaries, it just won't work. So I don't, for 1 minute, believe that we should disregard that. But we also have to ask ourselves some very basic questions, and that is that, okay, yes, you want somebody from the Riverine. as your governor, surely you should be somebody who will bring the state together, not somebody who will divide the state. Surely you should be somebody who is for peace, somebody who promotes peace. I look carefully at our state today, and our state is divided. I mean, let's ask ourselves, have Ikweres really genuinely benefited from an Ikwere government? Right? Or let's look at both Odili and Amici and ask ourselves, have the upland or the mainland really benefited from having a mainland or upland government? You know, if they've agitated for a mainland or upland governor, is this the mainland or upland governor or governorship that they want? I mean, look at the Ikweres now. They're divided at the executive level. When you have Amici and you have Wiki at each other's throats. Look at the judiciary. Again, within the judiciary, they're divided. Okay? From Okocha to the Amici's candidate. You look at the legislature. They're breaking each other's heads with a mace. Same Ikwere. So you don't just say, I want an Ikwere governor, that now then ends up dividing Ikweres. You want an Ikwere governor that will unite Ikweres. You want a Calabar governor that will unite Calabars. You want a Riverine governor that will unite Riverine people. Or you want a governor who will unite everybody, not just Riverine, not just Upland, not just Ikweres, not just Calabars, but everybody. You have non-indigenous in the state as well. Now, who has the capacity to bring APC together, PDP together, non-indigenous together, Calabar people together, Ikwere people together? Who has that capacity? But somebody who knows APC and its DNA, somebody who knows PDP and its DNA, somebody who knows the Ikwere elite, the Ikwere masses and its DNA, somebody who understands the Calabaris in their own individual DNA, who needs to bring people to positions of leadership where tomorrow you can look back and say, at least, if not for me, for the state, let me vote for this young man.
Tonye Princewill, we have actually we've overrun our time, but I would just give you 60 seconds to talk to Rivers people. A lot of Rivers people are listening to you right now.
Rivers people, I want you to have faith. Have faith in God. Let's ask ourselves that if God is watching you, if God is looking at you and asking you to take a position, what position will you take? A position that will fit and live with your conscience. What kind of river state do you want? Do you want a river state where people will be fighting? Do you want factional river state? Or do you want a state where investors are coming to because of its peaceful disposition? In our country today, in our state today, the leadership that you have reflects the followers. One thing Nigerians know how to do is they know how to follow. And if somebody leads by example, they will follow. Now what you're looking for now is somebody who was there for you even when there were no elections. Somebody who helps you understand the need for comradeship. I was an AC candidate working with a PDP governor, even against my party's wishes. They threatened to suspend me because I cooperated with Amici. Yet, a couple of years later, these same people, the Tinebus of this world, were cooperating with Amici in two different parties at the time against the president. So I cooperated because of what I felt was the state interest. I've never held a political office before. Other people are cooperating because of what they see as political interest. Rivers people, enough is enough. I criticize, but I do so constructively. I genuinely love Rivers people. I have no problem with APC or PDP, but I think we need a fresh face. God has played it this way so that somebody fresh can come in and stabilize the state. Let us not lose this opportunity. God bless you all.
Thank you, Tonye Princewill. And that's it on Viewpoint today. My apologies to all of those calling. We cannot take all those because time without permit us. And also big thanks and apologies also to those who've sent in comments on our Twitter page, on our Facebook page. We'll pass on all the questions to Tonye Princewill in response to all of them. And that's a part of this. We'll be talking to Tonye Princewill.
Can I just say that? Can I just give my number out on my phone number? If anybody can take it, is 0807 700 7007. 0807 700 7007. If you want to join me, work with me, that's my direct line. Call me, or you can come to 268 Aba Road, and that's just after Market Road Junction. Come to the campaign office, work with us. Let's move this state forward. God bless you.
And that's Viewpoint this Saturday. We're back next Saturday with another interesting topic and another guest. Good morning.